This is supposed to be a lost railway town, so why am I arriving by train? Like so many towns across Britain, Llangollen lost its railway during the 1960s. The line closed, the tracks began to disappear, and its future looked bleak. But unlike most lost railway towns, that wasn't the end of the story. Welcome to the lost railway town of Llangollen. Sitting in the Dee Valley beneath the Berwyn Mountains, Llangollen has always been a gateway into North Wales. Today it's famous for tourism, canals, steam trains and spectacular scenery, attracting visitors from across Britain and beyond. But long before the modern tourist industry developed, transport connections were already shaping the town's future. Although relatively small with a population of under 4,000 people, Llangollen has developed a reputation far beyond North Wales. Every summer it hosts the international music festival Eisteddfod, attracting performers from around the world, while thousands of visitors come each year to enjoy the River Dee, the surrounding countryside and the town's historic streets. It's this combination of natural beauty, engineering and history that makes Llangollen one of Wales' most popular tourist destinations. As they say, this is probably the most photographed shot in Llangollen, isn't it? The station and the river, wow, just look at that. It's not hard to see why, is it? But tourism isn't a modern invention here. Long before the railway arrived, Llangollen was already an important transport town thanks to the Ellesmere Canal. Built between the late 18th and early 19th centuries, it linked north-east Wales with the English canal network, carrying goods such as limestone, coal and iron through the Dee Valley. The canal transformed Llangollen, bringing trade, visitors and prosperity, helping connect what had been a once relatively isolated rural community with the rapidly expanding industrial regions to the east. Just a few miles from here stands the famous, I've been dreading saying this, Pontcysyllte Aqueduct. Thomas Telford somehow looked at a huge valley and thought, let's put a canal up in the sky. Completed in 1805, it still carries narrowboats high above the River Dee today. Eventually, the freight boats disappeared. Although thankfully nobody looked at the canal and thought, let's fill this one in. Instead, it found a new lease of life, carrying holidaymakers rather than coal. And the fact that it was a vital water feeder to towns downstream also helped its cause. So when I was younger, we came on one of the horse-drawn boat rides up here. I have no recollection of where we came or where it went to though. Because this length of canal has been in the news recently. The breach further upstream at Whitchurch has kind of trapped a lot of the boaters, it's trapped all of the boaters, hasn't it, that were stuck up here. If you saw the news footage, you'll know exactly what I mean. Seeing some of those boats disappear over the edge was genuinely terrifying. Repairs are now underway, but dozens of boats remain stranded along the Llangollen Canal, including some here in and around Llangollen. Although the breach happened many miles from the town, it's a reminder that even after more than 200 years, these historic waterways still rely on constant maintenance if they're to survive. But I suppose if you're into your transport history and your industrial history and your lost transport stuff, railways, canals, this place is perfect. And that's before you even start digging into the surrounding countryside. Now this bridge, there's been a bridge across the Dee at Llangollen since at least 1284, and that's a very specific year that. And this current day bridge is Grade 1 listed. And I've got in my notes here, it dates from somewhere between the 16th and 17th century, so nice to narrow it down, isn't it, to a couple of centuries. It has been extended and widened over the years. Opposite the railway station is another survivor. This watermill has been standing here for more than 600 years, which when you think about it, makes the railway look positively modern. Now, this isn't actually where today's day started. I've just come down from Corwen, another lost railway town we've already explored, which feels rather appropriate because without people who refuse to give up on the railway here in Llangollen, that rail journey simply wouldn't have been possible. Railways first reached Llangollen in 1861, when the Vale of Llangollen Railway opened a temporary station just outside the town. Passenger services followed the following year, before the railway was extended west to Corwen in 1865, bringing trains into the station that still stands today. For the next 100 years, Llangollen became an important stop on the scenic route between Wobbly and Barmouth. Passenger trains, freight services and holidaymakers all passed through the town as the railway became part of everyday life in the Dee Valley. But in 1965, the infamous beaching cuts brought passenger services to an end. Freight trains survived for another 3 years, serving Llangollen's goods yard until 1968, when the entire route from Wobbly to Barmouth Junction was finally closed and lifted. And in most lost railway towns, that's usually where the story ends. If you've been following this series, the railway will already look familiar. We've explored Corwen, Barley and Llangollen already in this series, and previously all the way down the line into Barmouth. But in many ways, Llangollen is where the modern story of this railway really begins. You might think you've already heard this same lost railway town story in our Corwen video, and you'd be right, but there's an important difference. Corwen was a lost railway town that was eventually reconnected by the railway. Llangollen was where that revival began. The hub, if you like, of the whole railway coming back to life. In 1972, a group of volunteers decided they weren't ready to let Llangollen's railway disappear. Their ambition was simple: bring part of the line back to life. 3 years later, Llangollen station reopened to the public. There was just one slight problem. They only had a small section of track to run on. But everyone has to start somewhere, and over the following decades, volunteers steadily rebuilt the railway west through the Dee Valley, first to Berwyn in 1986, then to Glyn Dove Rwy in 1993 and Carrog in 1996, before the line finally reached a temporary station at Corwen in 2014. And then in 2023, trains finally reached the new permanent station in Corwen, completing the heritage railway from Llangollen to Corwen. What survives today isn't simply a heritage railway. It's the result of thousands of hours of volunteer effort, transforming what had become a completely abandoned railway into one of Britain's best loved preserved lines. We've seen the heritage railway heading west, back towards Corwen, but what about the other direction, towards Wobbly? Well, the railway is blocked off here and parts of the old route have now been developed beyond the end of the current head shunt. But if you look beyond the end of the station, you can still see the bridge where the railway once continued eastwards. And this excellent old photograph shared by Paul Brown on Facebook gives a rather better idea of what it used to look like.
And the other side of that bridge is just through there. Can you see the pieces of wood? So this would be the track bed.
Llangollen is unusual amongst lost railway towns. Unlike many places where the railway disappeared completely, part of its story survived. Today, heritage trains still bring visitors into the town, much as they did all those decades ago, preserving a small but important part of the railway network that once stretched across North Wales. It's easy to visit Llangollen and simply enjoy the scenery, the canal, a ride behind a steam locomotive. But look a little closer and you'll discover this isn't just a tourist railway, it's the surviving heart of a much bigger railway story. If you've enjoyed exploring Llangollen with me, there are loads more lost railway towns to discover here on this channel. If you'd like to join me on future explorations, don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to help support the channel, you can become a member, currently just £2 a month, or have a look at some of our lost railway town merchandise, including our rather lovely mugs.
So cheers for watching, we'll see you again soon, ta-ra!